Hello, it's Dale here. Going to show you a few more things with the embellisher today, following on what I've done. First, I've got some scrim here, and I'm going to do a bit of texture. And what I used was a thread to stitch a few little nondescript lines. I've used a soft cotton, but a woolen thread or anything you've got would work just as well. And then, as I was saying, this is how you get that fabulous texture. And by just working away. Let's see if we can see. Just enough to get going. But when you look on the other side, can you see how where the machine's been? First you've got all that little texture coming up, and then you can see how you've muted this to make some texture here. I'll just do a little bit more. It's time consuming, but it's rewarding to see what you get as a result and how you can use it later. So that was on there. And then it's merged in, but you've got that line there. So I could have stitched circles or any old shapes. I just did this very quickly to show you. So you've got two things happening. You've got the texture of the yarn and the texture of that scrim coming through and giving you all those little knobbles. And then I might cut that out as a shape or put layers over the top. That's just what I would do with that. So I could have put this onto here as well. So I'll put that one there. And the other one is using Hessian on the surface. And again, I've done my usual thing. You can just work it straight up this way, which will just blend it in a little bit. Takes quite a lot of work to do this. Or turn it over the other side. Can you see then you've got that coming up there? But if you then turn it over to the other side, or work away, you get the colour of what is underneath coming through to the top. And so there you've got that coming up there. It might not be the colour that you want, but that's because of what I've got underneath. But you can work back into it. Let's see what happens then. So you're blending it back down again. And this is one of the beautiful things about this machine. Work both ways. So you've knocked it back again. Just knock that one back. So you've got the colour texture on it there. And this is one I've done before where I've stitched. I've also done a little bit of hand stitching in here, if you just look there very carefully. And I've blended it into this part, but not into that part. And that's the difference between how it's merged into the background. These are some Corone stick shapes that I was playing around with. So I'll just show you how these... I've opened it up a lot more than this one. So you're just building up this wonderful background texture. So you can take anything that you've got, like this is Hessian, like an old Hessian sack. Or what about the bags that sometimes the onions come in and things like that, and try those. So you've got that texture that comes through there. And it just makes, I've got the contrast between the two, which makes it quite exciting. And, or I could have used silk scrim, which has got the same sort of texture, but it's more... harder to break up really in that way. But you know, like a Hessian sack, if you've got anything like string, or you could knit some string and then put that on, so you've got that knitted shape or crocheted shape to work onto your surface, give you sort of like a distorted grid. So that's those two things. And then finally today I thought I'd just show you what happens when you collect yourself if you're in a Qantas Club and you ever get to fly again. This is a Qantas Club towel, and people know that I've was collecting them for years. I don't belong to Qantas Club anymore, but they're fabulous. And it's got a grid, and it's like a paper, and you can stitch it and colour it and all sorts of things. But I've used it on the embellisher, so I have put those previous bits, just cut some shapes up, put some different yarns down, and hand stitched into it, and then run it under the machine just to look at the back, and you can see a little bit of what I've done. So you shouldn't be limited by what you have. Just what you find makes a lot of difference. So if you've got all those interesting yarns, you don't know what to do with them. Look how it's quite an interesting. It needs to be ironed out, and it could go into a frame, or it could go as part of a piece, or whatever. But just the idea to give you something to think about. So I hope you found that interesting today and a little bit useful. And I'll see you again another time. Bye.